Wonder Woman 1984 is the latest installment in the DCEU, and once again stars Gal Gadot in the title role alongside a returning Chris Pine and newcomers Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig. Before we get into this, don't forget to hit that like button. It does wonders in getting my content out there, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date with all my content. Wonder Woman 1984 sees the return of Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, in this direct follow-up to the 2017 hit. This time round, we're smack bang in the middle of the 1980s as Prince is learning to adapt to modern society. Her world is soon flipped upside down with the return of her old flame, Steve Trevor, and the emergence of two new threats. Maxwell Lord, a shrewd businessman with uncanny abilities of persuasion and manifestation, and Barbara Minerva, a co-worker whose intense jealousy leads her to become supervillain Cheetah. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you know that I've had kind of a hot and cold relationship with the DCEU. I am a lifelong fan of DC characters, but some of those early DCEU movies just never really quite cut it with me. The first DCEU film that I really enjoyed was Wonder Woman. I thought it was just a spectacular film, and I have enjoyed the preceding films marginally more and more. I mean, Birds of Prey, which came out earlier this year, I still think is one of my favourite movies of the year so far. But let me tell you, that movie has a little bit of competition now with Wonder Woman 1984. This is, of course, a Wonder Woman film set within the DCEU, but there were some conflicting reports earlier on that maybe it wasn't part of the DCEU. We've got returning cast members, of course, Gal Gadot is back playing Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, and you've got Chris Pine back playing Steve Trevor, who died in the first movie. It's also set in the 1980s, which is far removed from the timeline of the rest of the DCEU, and so many other things that have made people question, is this a hard reset? Is this a completely different thing with the existing characters and the existing actors, almost like a take two? Well, it's kind of a little bit of everything. What I can say without spoiling too much is that this movie is still very much stooped within the lore of the DCEU. That timeline, that canon of the DCEU, it's not so far removed from it that it tries to take it outside of the franchise to be its own thing. It is an entirely organic sequel to the very first Wonder Woman movie, while also doing its own thing. Patty Jenkins has been given the opportunity to step from out of Zack Snyder's shadow. Of course, Zack Snyder had such a large reign over those early DCEU films. Whether you love that or whether you hate that is another question entirely. But even that first Wonder Woman film had a story written by Zack Snyder. Patty Jenkins had to come in and kind of work to his vision and work with Warner Brothers' vision for what the DC film universe was at that point. Now that we have moved away from the Batman v Superman thing, and the franchise is kind of moving in different directions that are actually working really well for it, for not only audiences but critics as well. Patty Jenkins has found herself in a position where she can have a lot more influence on the film, on the story. She of course wrote the story, she co-wrote the screenplay, and she's given more of a chance here to develop her own style and give the film its own identity. To me, this is nothing but a good thing. This is a film that is obviously a complete love letter from its filmmaker. This is the Wonder Woman movie that we have wanted for a very long time. This is a big, bold, vibrant, epic film. It's an absolute spectacle of cinema. Patty Jenkins has been adamant the whole time this is a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen. I have to say, if you are in a position where you can go and see this movie on a big screen, go and see this movie on a big screen, because it is an absolute spectacle. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's not as big and bombastic as Birds of Prey. That movie was just completely over the top and wacky. This movie's a little bit more reserved, but the colors are fantastic. The special effects are fantastic. The action scenes are amazing. The choreography is just great. Gal Gadot is able to deliver this incredible multi-layered performance. Not only this superhero, this god, this larger-than-life presence that is dealing with god stuff and superhero stuff, but is able to deliver this incredibly dramatic performance of a human who has had a really rough time and is dealing with some really bleak human things. Chris Pine is back as Steve Trevor, and he is an absolute blast. I'm not going to say how he's back, but it all makes sense when you watch the film. He is back and he is fantastic. Pedro Pascal plays MacLeod, who is, again, this larger-than-life presence, and he is absolutely off his rocker. The scenes with Pedro Pascal when Maxwell Lord is just completely losing it with power are some of the best scenes of the movie because Pascal's performance is just so incredible. And sometimes, yeah, it is incredibly over the top. It is incredibly comic booky, but it works in this universe that Patty Jenkins is trying to bring to the screen. And even though it is really over the top, it's so engaging and it is so believable. It's authentic. Kristen Wiig here, I mean, this was a casting choice that a lot of people kind of went, really? Comedic actor Kristen Wiig as a supervillain? What a strange casting. She's amazing. She's terrific as her role really does blend into her comedic performance style. It's a very quirky, very fun, and at times very funny role, but she's also able to delve into this really incredible dramatic side, which we have seen in other films before. But this is a movie where she's really able to juggle with kind of both ends of her acting range to deliver this really fantastically layered villain. And that's what works so well about this movie. The villains are great. And these are issues I have had with past DCEU movies, is that the villains have often been really average. But these two villains right here, Maxwell Lord and the Cheetah, they just work so perfectly. And they are these two characters that really do have motives. Like, you believe why they're going mad with power and why they're doing what they're doing. This movie has an incredibly long runtime as well. It goes for 2.5 hours. It's about the exact same runtime as the first Wonder Woman movie, but you never really feel it. I mean, some of these movies, it just feels like, oh, you're dragging on just far, far too long. You don't feel it. This movie has such an energetic pace, such a frantic pace. Something is going on at all times. The characters are so engaging. The story is so engaging. The performances are so multi-layered that you are engrossed in the screen, in the world, in the characters for this entire runtime. And perhaps the thing that I absolutely loved about this movie more than anything is its message. It has a really beautiful message about hope and love and togetherness. And it has this really incredible soul. And I feel like this is a movie that has arrived in such a timely fashion. This movie was supposed to open in June. But everything that we've gone through this year, I mean, together as humanity, has been really hard on all of us. And this is a message that we need to hear right now. And this film has arrived in such a timely manner. And I feel like it's even more timely right now than it would have been had it opened back in June. I feel like people are going to get more from this movie now. And I feel like that's the silver lining out of this whole thing. With that, I am very, very happy to be giving Wonder Woman 1984 a 4.5 out of 5. With the chance to step out of the Snyder shadow, Patty Jenkins delivers a big, booming spectacle of a comic book flick that is as fun and exciting as it is meaningful and timely. A true organic sequel while also being its own unique beast. It's easily one of the best DCEU outings so far. Thanks to the amazing team over at Warner Brothers Pictures for making this early viewing of the film a possibility for the purposes of this review. And thanks to everybody out there for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy and enjoy the film. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.